Welcome to Secular ACA. I'm Bill. In my last video, I shared about how my wounded inner child was formed by my sadistic parents. The verbal abuse my mom gave me was more painful than the beatings by my dad. But both contributed to making me into a guy with a full load of pain, anger, and low self-esteem. In this video, I'll start my story about how I recovered from being the damaged person they made me. By the way, every adult child has the same form of injustice to deal with. That is, as innocent little children who suffered abuse and neglect, they were given emotional problems that they didn't ask for or deserve. But each one of us has the responsibility for resolving the problems we were given. In other words, the adult child didn't cause their own psychic damage, but they have the burden of repairing it. For both traditional and secular ACA, the road to recovery is taken through reparenting. Reparenting is a method that probably anyone can learn. It's like riding a bicycle. At first it may be difficult and awkward, but with practice you can learn to do it well. My road to recovery began when I left home in Chicago to go to California at age 18. I knew I had a mind that wasn't right. I understood that the things I'd done over the past few years were not the things I wanted to keep on doing. I didn't understand why I had been so violent and destructive, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I just knew I had to get away from my dysfunctional home life and try to make a fresh start. As I mentioned in the last video, I started college in Los Angeles. Later, I transferred to a school in San Francisco. In both places, I studied psychology and philosophy. I was especially interested in humanistic psychology and Eastern religions. To try to understand myself better, I had some sessions with a school psychologist. This was in the 60s, so I smoked pot and I took LSD for fun, but also I hoped the drugs would help me to understand myself better. Because I'd never had a bad trip, I learned that I could handle going out of my normal state of mind. In those days, it was popular to get in touch with your feelings. I worked on that. But the feelings that people were talking about were pretty superficial. I learned to recognize when I was feeling happy, glad, sad, or mad. But the unstated ethos then was to play it safe and not get too deep into yourself. Neither the therapists I consulted nor the self-help groups I participated in probed as deeply as I needed to go if I was to really understand what was going on in my mind. Then one day, I went down into the basement of the old apartment building where I lived in San Francisco. I think I was looking for a lamp or some furniture. The place was packed with old stuff that nobody wanted. Suddenly, I was overcome with intense anger. I picked up and smashed chairs. I kicked over tables. I threw lamps into mirrors, and all the while screaming, "Ah!" I didn't know why I was having this fit, but I decided to go with it and not to try to resist it or suppress it. No one could hear me, so I carried on until I felt exhausted. This was a cathartic experience. It showed me the depth of my anger. I didn't know I had so much anger in me. The experience didn't relieve me of that anger. It just showed me that it was there. This was the first time I learned about a feeling that was deep within me. But I had no idea why I felt this way. For a long time after that, at least I knew when I was feeling angry, even though I didn't understand where it came from or why it was so intense or how to rid myself of it. I didn't know it at the time, but I would have another cathartic experience a few months later. This one would show me the depth of the pain that until then I didn't even know I had. So I'll share about that in the next video. And then I'll go on to talk further about how I recovered from these feelings. For now, I'll close with the Secular ACA Serenity affirmation. Today I seek serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me. Keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you're worth it.